It has been 2 weeks since I've become an ultra runner, and this is my first run out after that, and I decided to do a little bit of a retro of how the ultra went. So let's talk about it. If I had to quickly summarize the race, it would be that I was looking for an adventure, and it was an adventure. It was amazing. It was what I wanted. But there were quite a few lessons learned from this race, from food, from mindset, and from training perspective, things that I have to work on. But I'll tell you one by one in a bit. So let's start off with nutrition while I climb up this hill. Everything had been tested before. The gels had been tested before. The water sequences had been tested before. The salts had been tested before. So I knew that I needed to drink water around every 10 kilometers, and I knew I needed to have a gel every 45 minutes, and I knew that if I started feeling this weird feeling in my stomach, a specific feeling that I know, that I had to lay off the gels a little bit to let it go through my system. And that would have all been great, excluding the fact that it was the hottest weather that I've ever run in. And instead of thinking to myself, okay, super hot, maybe we should increase the amount of liquids that I need, I kept just the same game plan. I didn't increase it. So what was happening was, before the 10 kilometer mark or close to the 10 kilometer mark, I would start getting some signs of cramping, like the muscle wanting to start cramping. I didn't think like, wait a minute, it is hotter, I'm sweating like hell, maybe I need to carry more water with me, because I had an empty flask in my bag in the back. And then, because I didn't check the last checkpoint correctly, so besides not being able to drink water because of cramps, I also couldn't take a gel. That was a little bit of a mistake on my part. For some reason I thought it was 41 kilometers the checkpoint, the last checkpoint, and in truth it was like 45. I reached the 41 kilometer mark and I'm like, okay, no checkpoint, cool, this is a trail race, it's not exact. Then I go run a little bit more, 42 kilometers, no checkpoint. 43 kilometers, no checkpoint. 44 kilometers, no checkpoint. Then things start going in your head. Did I miss the checkpoint? Did I make a mistake on the map? We'll talk about more of the mental part, but that last bit I struggled a lot. And then another thing that happened was that after that checkpoint, there was like just 7 kilometers more. No matter how many gels I would take, no matter how many gummy bears I would take, it just wasn't enough to give me that oomph energy I needed. Then it was like low battery mode, trying to find, just pushing to reach it to the end, which we'll touch again on the mentality part. But anyway, that was a bit of the lesson there of nutrition, and not just following your plan, but being aware of the conditions that you're running in, which I wasn't. I just stick to the plan, didn't consider the environment, and paid a little bit the price for that. But before going to mental, let's talk about physical preparation next. Physical preparation. Until about, I would say, the 35 kilometer mark, all was good. I felt good, and I knew that at 34 or 35 things would get real and would become much harder. And I felt that in the marathon, so it was to be expected. What I feel I need to work on is my ankle strength, because I again rolled a bit my left ankle, nothing serious, but I rolled it because it was that rolling feeling pain that I had on the outside, and it happened on the late part of the race. And my hamstrings have a tendency to want to cramp in the later parts of the race. The only part that it really cramped were in two spots actually. So one, I was just randomly running, I had the water, I was already refueling with water, and my leg just, I'm running normally and my leg just goes cramp, and I'm like, cramp. And then the other time was just before the finishing line. Also it started like cramping. I had to just give it a little stretch because I wanted to also make it strong over the finish line. Then I think a bit more my core strength, because at the end of the race I could feel like I was really folding in myself. So definitely work a little bit more on my core strength to fix that. But besides that, everything was good. I recovered pretty quickly. I took 2 weeks off because okay, my ankle hurt a little bit, but that passed like in a few days, like 3 or 4 days. How should I say it? Maybe cartilage, like the ligaments and that, they were sore-ish, not pain, not like something was torn or that, but they felt like they got to work out. So I thought, okay, let them really rest. Let's let all these little aches and pains go away. But like in comparison to the marathon, I was way better, because the marathon was this weird thing on my foot underneath that happened for some reason, and that affected me like for a whole week. So the first days I couldn't even walk. It took like 3 days for me to start walking again. It didn't start improving immediately, but it took that time. And this was super fast. I was immediately feeling okay to run. It was harder, definitely harder than the marathon, like way harder. And also the people around, they were way more fitter that were running this. And yeah, I recognize that before jumping into something else, there are a few things I need to work on. Let's get back to running a little bit, so I'll be here forever. And then I'll talk about the mental side, which was, it was an experience. Okay, to the mental side of it. As you probably understood from the race day vlog, or whatever you can call it, the 34 to 35 mark is when it got real. So before that, everything was fun. Everything was going well. Then I hit, it was a bit early even, I think 33 or 34. I remember it felt a bit earlier than the marathon one. I felt like, okay, now I'm starting to feel tired. It wasn't as fun. And I remember watching some YouTubers talk about this, and I started immediately thinking about ways, okay, how can I bring up my energy? So one, I started doing exercises of gratitude, screaming out loud from the forest. So it started off with like, thank you to my wife and kids that allow me to train to be able to do this. It was like, thank you for the job that I have. That's not a physical job, it's a mental job, so I can come at the end of the day, still run and relax, and it pays me enough that I can go on this amazing adventure. Thanking my family for always pushing me in sports and things like that. Always thanking my legs, my heart, my lungs, that my body was being able to do it. And it does help, like just saying these things out loud. I don't know if anyone was behind me, but they probably thought I was a bit crazy. And then also like saying to myself, you're running in the forest. It's one of the things that you most love to do, is just like run through the forest. You put yourself in this situation. You wanted to be here. This is what you wanted. And that brought me up quite a lot. And then at another phase, I wanted to get like into this flow of running, because the gratitude wasn't doing that. So I started like singing out loud, like I'm running in the forest, running together, faster, la la, da da, like in the cadence with my breath. That also worked super well to like bring me back, because I did feel these ups and downs of like, it's going well, okay, it's not going so well. And the worst part was when I said the checkpoint part, that I really started spiraling in this negative thought, because we did find this one person that he got lost and he missed his checkpoint. So immediately when that started happening to me, I started like doubting the watch, doubting just all my decisions from that checkpoint to the other checkpoint. And then the last, after that checkpoint, that was, I would say, the hardest, because I was depleted. No gel in the world was giving me energy to run, or the candy that they had there. My ankle was already hurting. I felt tired, like my posture was broken. And that was like autopilot mode, just go. I was just thinking, you just have to go. I remember thinking, this is not fun, this is hard. Like then it was hard, and just thought like, just go. And the last, I think like 1 kilometer, there were like these 2 uphills. I remember just looking at these uphills and thinking, oh my god, how am I gonna get up this? It was a lesson. The reason that I think I want to go back is I want to go back into that place, that negative spot, and try to even push more from than I did now. I didn't stop. I'll jump into the strategy in another bit, but the goal at that point, it was, there is no excuse to stop running unless it's an uphill. And that was hard. And I even, downhills I was controlling, because I was always afraid that I would get like a cramp going down and just like fall or something. But the main thing was just run When you get on an uphill, that's your break. So it was a bittersweet. I would see an uphill and be like, no, and then think, okay, I get to walk. And that's how it went. Those last 7 kilometers were really, really tough. And I was alone. I didn't have the experience, but after this experience, I would definitely had stuck with this person that passed me. Maybe not stuck with him because his pace was crazy fast, or just be a bit slower for the previous ones to catch me and go with them, to have some company to push me through that phase and then push it in the last end. Because the people before me, they did come in a double, and basically they caught up to me. We chatted a little bit, and then they even them split up. It was like they had their tour, they passed that hard part, they had the turbo on, and they just went for it. So yeah, and another thing is I found myself getting emotional when I was thinking that I was finishing, like around 500 meters from the end, when I was realizing that I am going to be able to do this. I felt like this not, I didn't cry, but I would say that when I crossed the line, the emotion came, but my wife was in one place and I couldn't see my daughter, so like I snapped out of it. It was like, where's my daughter? Like, where is she? And then she came running around and she's like, Daddy, and hugged me, and it was a super beautiful moment. It was very emotional, and I couldn't understand why I was feeling emotional. It's just putting your body through that it's something. Like, it's hard to explain. I watched the YouTube videos and I asked myself, like, would I break? Would I cry? Would I quit? And then I never understood why you would see these people on these like documentaries suffering so much or so emotional. And now I get it. It's you're putting your body through something, and I don't exactly know the science of it, but I'm pretty sure that you have adrenaline going through you, you have other things going through you that like just make you a little bit more emotional, and you feel it. I definitely felt it when I was crossing that line, and a little bit before when I was thinking that I was gonna do it, and so much time I've put into this, so much I wanted to this is like a dream for 2 years. Yeah, tears nearly came, and I think if I continue running and doing long distance, I will cry sobbing over the finish line. But yeah, the mental part, very important, and I want to go back and experience it again. Okay, what about strategy? That is something that it became apparent to me that it's very important in these races that you have somewhat of a strategy in place. So my strategy was simple. In the beginning of the race, anything that was road or flat, I was gonna accelerate the pace to pass most of the slower people, because I knew that once you hit the trails, you don't dictate the pace, the person in front of you dictates the pace, and depending on their pace, especially in the beginning of the race, and if you stay too behind, it will be a slower pace than you're accustomed to. So the beginning part of the race was road, not trails, not like this, but like a dirt roads. So on those ones I just went pretty fast, I think like a 5 to 6 minute per kilometer time. Then something else was path reading. I was super focused to always be looking up and figuring out which is the shortest path that I could follow in a specific trail. So I would look up, and if it would like snake like this, you would see people following each other like this wide turns, and I would always try to like the least distance possible running through those parts. Another thing I noticed is curves. There were quite a few of these like long curves. Always run inside the curve. I would always be like aiming it, then going into the curve, staying close to the apex, etc., etc. And it paid off, because I remember when we caught this person that he got lost. He was looking for checkpoint, I don't know, it was 3 or something. He asked like, how much kilometers do you guys have? And I can't remember the exact amount, but I had nearly 1 kilometer already less than the other person. And I thought, okay, this is really paying off. Then another thing, I decided that I would walk the uphills, no matter the uphill. In the beginning, I accepted that for the first 13 kilometers for the first checkpoint, that I wouldn't mind running small uphills, but that from that first checkpoint, I would start walking on those uphills. And it paid off. Like, I felt it was a good strategy. There were some terrible uphills we were talking about. You could barely walk. I had to take sticks and push myself through them. But simple strategy. The nutrition one, I think I've already said it. In terms of speed, I wasn't paying attention to my heart rate. I was doing what felt right. I was always being a little bit conservative, but I wasn't worried if my heart rate was high. I would check it once in a while, but the focus was, do I feel good now? How do I feel? Do I feel I'm exerting myself, or do I feel that we're in a good pace? And I'm happy with the strategy. Only the thing that failed was the water last checkpoint thing that I think I could have done better, and it would have changed a little bit. Overall, I ended up in 12th or 13th place, top 10 for my age group. What did I learn else? Flasks are way better than camelbacks, or the back reservoir, because I cannot say how fast I was due to that. I would arrive at the checkpoint, I would take out the flasks, give it to 2 people, start taking out the salts. By the time one has come, I've already taken out the salt tablet. They would give me the flask, break the salt tablet, close in, the other one close in, and I was out. Why is this more efficient? Because people taking the backpack thing, they have to take it out. Then there's no pressure in this water, so you have one tap with the gravity filling up your camelback or whatever they're called, and with the flask you have 2 flasks of 500 mils being filled in parallel, which is just much faster. I passed many people that were faster than me and gained a lot of distance because of that. It really helped. So let's talk a little bit about the race and the organization. I am very thankful for the people of UltraX. They were very nice. The people at the check-ins giving the support, very swift in helping us go in and go out. I think my only criticism is I am used to running in heavy forests. It's what I prefer. I love the running style that you have to map the path and where you're going to put your feet ahead of you. I find it amazing. And this one, it was mixed. Sometimes it was a lot of road, then a little bit of forest, and a lot of road and a little bit of forest. They couldn't improve. It was fine. Like I would just say that's the only thing that could have been a little bit better in that sense. And lessons that I learned also from this race was actually a funny thing. So we catch this bus to go to the starting line in the morning. We join the bus and they're like, we have mosquito spray for you guys at the starting line. I've been running here in the forest, hadn't seen a single mosquito. They're like, mosquito spray? Why do we need mosquito spray? Arrive there, still no mosquitoes. I do get a little bit sprayed, like there's this line, I go to this line and it literally finishes on me. So I just get this little taper of mosquito spray. In my head, it's like, I haven't seen mosquitoes yet. I don't know what's the deal. We start running, everything's okay. We hit this uphill that it was impossible to climb running. I had like 2 sticks to go and I was going slowly and I was being swarmed. They were biting me through my t-shirt, like everything. I was just like swatting, walking. Horrible. Another thing which was very nice was the people. Most of the people came from the UK to run this race, because I think UltraX is a UK company. A lot of people from the UK, like vast majority, I'm talking like 80% were from the UK. But I must say, they were the nicest people ever. I was like running, catch up, have a little chat, little pep talk to help us get it through. It was all good. I have had experiences like on the bottom trail that you're running behind someone that's slower than you and they will not let you pass. They're like, if you want to pass, you have to overtake me. But here, no, everyone, like the moment you start running behind them, like for more than 30 seconds, like right behind them, they would say like, go, pass. To the point that I would say, no, I don't want to go ahead. I want you to stay ahead so I don't have to worry so much about the path. I just follow you. So it was super nice, super polite. Met someone that he was in first place for his age category doing the 100 kilometer. I think he was from Slovenia. Super nice guy. So we were talking and I said, I guess you do quite a few of these. I then researched him. He's like some mega influencer, Instagrammer. Then met another person that was just like me. He did marathons. It was his first ultra, and he said like, I've done ultras before, but I've done marathons before, but this ultra is really kicking my butt. And then this other person that I would say in the 30 kilometer mark, we were together just talking about we could be playing golf, we could be sailing, but here we are. And it was fun. I had never had the experience of people just talking on the trails, so in that sense it was cool. There might be a 2025 edition. I've already registered for my interest for the 2025 edition, so we'll see if I will commit to it. But yeah, thanks UltraX, it was really fun. Thanks for the organization. You're paying for an adventure and you get that adventure. It's super cool. So what is next, you might be asking? I have a marathon, road marathon, and a 13-kilometer trail for September, and there's a potential July project, but that one's still up in the air because there's a lot of the transport there is very hard, so it would be a little bit expensive to go there, but it's in the back of my mind because I can say the itch is not scratched. Before doing the ultra, my wife asked me, would this be the last one? And I said, when I cross the finish line, I will know. I will see if the itch is scratched. I crossed the finish line. I basically stopped, drank some water, hugged my wife and child, hanged around a little bit, went to the car and was already mentally thinking, what is the next race? Or when could I possibly do the next race? So this is not the last race. I just don't know if it will be for this season. I don't know if another ultra is in the plans because of the training, the vacation, family time, etc. I do see running some exploratory trails by myself, unsupported, so when I have the availability and not a specific date that I could share. But yeah, for now only September, and then as I progress and as my body heals and the exercises that I intend to do play out, I will decide if I do something else or not. So, and if I do, you're welcome to watch the journey. I think that is all for this race recap. It was fun. I enjoyed myself. I wanted an adventure. I got an adventure. I didn't injure myself or seriously, and I still want to do more. So here's to doing more trail runs.